Hello friends and fellow neighbors, and welcome back to another edition of Live Like Fred. I'm Colton Tobias, and today I am here with Susan Sugrue, who is in charge of the Nursing Home Pen Pal program here at Mother of Sorrows Church, in Murrysville. Mrs. Sugrue, thank you so much for your time. It's
You're
a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Now, Mrs. Sugrue, I want to get into it right away. So, what do you do for a living, and is there like anything about you that you would want us to know?
I have been a member of Mother Sorrow's Church for 25 years. Volunteering is in my blood. I enjoy it very much, whether it was with our music ministry, whether it was with our food bank. I love to help out people, and I love to do something.
How long have you been volunteering, like with your children? Do you know?
With the Pen Pal ministry, I've been doing it for the last 5 years. There was a woman that started it originally, and she needed to leave for some reasons, so I took it over, and it's been a really satisfying ministry in which to participate.
Oh, that's really great to hear.
Thank you.
Would you want to explain to us what the Pen Pal program is a little more?
I'd love to. We currently write residents at the nursing homes at St. Anne's Nursing Home in Greensburg and at Murrysville Rehab and Wellness Center in Murrysville. I currently have about 50 to 60 volunteers that write about 70 residents. What I do is I receive a list from St. Anne's Home and from Murrysville Rehab and Wellness Center of people that are looking for pen pals. I then have volunteers that generously step forward, and 2 times a month to 3 times a month send them a card, a letter, a postcard, just talking about happy things that are happening in their life, trying to give some happiness to them, trying to give them some hope, letting them know that someone is thinking of them. A lot of people in these nursing homes do have families, but they're not able to visit as much as they'd like. So these people really do look forward to receiving this correspondence.
Are they all anonymous, or do they like know the person who sent the letter?
They do not, because it is anonymous, and it's a one-way correspondence. So what we do, and what I stress to our volunteers, is that when we write these letters, it is a one-way correspondence. We expect nothing in return. We just want to brighten up someone's day. So, for example, and because of HIPAA laws, I'm not sure if you're familiar with those, we are not allowed to know anything about the person that we're writing to. We're not allowed to know their birthday, their health, if they were married, if they had children. So it does make it a little tricky sometimes trying to write people. I find it very easy. I find it very easy to, for example, when I write my pen pal, I tell them about my family. I tell them about, in the summertime, I have a garden and I grow vegetables and I share my recipes. When I go on vacation, I send postcards of different places I have been. I find it very, very easy. I talk about Steelers football with them. I talk about Pirates with them. I talk about Penguins with them. So it's very easy to pick up a pen, write a little card, with the holidays coming around the corner, Halloween card, Thanksgiving card, Christmas cards, things like that. And the people are very, very, very thankful.
Oh, wow. Well, that is truly amazing.
It is. I do actually have some examples. My first pen pal that I wrote, and I wrote to her for about 3 years, and her son, sent me a thank you note when she passed, and a little card, and it was thanking for all the postcards and letters to Mom. They always brought a big smile and brightened her day. Keep up the great work. And I find that so satisfying.
Oh, with the obituary.
With the obituary and the card. And I had never met her, but I had written her for 3 years. I also had something from one of my volunteers that they talked about, that she was writing to somebody at Murrysville Wellness and Rehab Center. And I will get notices from the directors every now and again that someone has They can't even say they've passed, they just say they're no longer here, because sometimes they have to move to a hospital facility, or sometimes they go home, you just don't know. So then I have to pass that on to the person that they're writing to. So I had let one of my volunteers know that someone was no longer listed there, would they like to continue on with the ministry? And they said, absolutely. 2 months later, she gets a card from the person that she had been moved to another facility and wanted to keep up the correspondence. So she was now writing 2 pen pals because she had received a new name for me, and this woman reached out to her and said, hey, I'm still here. I just had to be put in another facility, but I'd love your correspondence that we did before. Can we keep this up?
Oh, wow. Oh, well, that's surely saying something right there.
It is. I did also have one other quick story that the last woman that I wrote, and this was a complete surprise. She had passed away, and her family came to my house. I didn't even know who they were, and they knocked on my door at 7 o'clock at night. I had written to her for about 3.5 years. I guess she had a pocketbook in her room, and it was filled with all of the letters and postcards that I had sent her, and they got to know me and my family actually through reading these. I always put my return address on them, and they wanted to come by and personally thank me. It was so kind.
Did you know they were coming, or was it,
No.
or was it a surprise?
They just
showed up
knocked
at
the
your
door. I know, they just knocked at the door, and it took me a minute.
Oh, wow.
And they just wanted to come by personally and say thank you so much for doing that. So I find it very rewarding.
All right, now, Mrs. Sugrue, I understand that that you are a huge Mr. Rogers fan as well from besides the volunteer work you do, and I understand that you have a favorite quote that you would like to share with him.
I do. It's not a very well-known quote, but the quote that I really enjoy is, the connections we make in the course of life, maybe that's what heaven is. And I truly feel that when your family, your friends, even the stranger that you meet on the street that can make a difference in your life one day, those connections are just so important in your life. And the fact that he said that, and maybe that's what heaven is, I do believe that's part of it.
Oh yes, so do I. I think there's no doubt in my mind that is what heaven is. Well, that is an amazing quote from him. And my favorite quote from Mr. Rogers is, there are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind, the second way is to be kind, and the third way is to be kind. If you can ever add a 4th one in there, what would it be?
To also approach everything with an open mind and an open heart.
Oh, well, that is a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Now, I am under the impression, Mrs. Sugrue, that you do other volunteer work as well, besides with the Pen Pal program. Would you mind telling us a little more about that?
Not at all. I volunteer, I should say, at the William Penn Care Center. I teach there a chair yoga class. And what I do is it's in a room very similar to this, and the residents come in, and I put on some music, and we do some movement to some music. Breathing exercises. It's so important for people that are mostly in wheelchairs or using walkers to build up some muscle. So I have learned through many of trial and error the right kind of music to play. So the one thing I have learned is that we do chair yoga to Mr. Dean Martin, Mr. Frank Sinatra, Mr. Nat King Cole, because as they're moving with this exercise and movement, they're singing along. So it's a really wonderful, I can honestly say that it's only half an hour that I spend with them doing the physical exercise. They're much longer listening to their stories and talking with them, but they definitely have a big smile on their face at the end of our time together.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. It just makes me laugh how they're dancing the Sinatra and Dean Martin. That's what really amuses me.
Yes, it does.
Okay, now, Mrs. Sugrue, one of the things that we do here at Live Like Fred is we always ask one of our inspiring neighbors what makes a snappy new day for them. Just meaning, what makes a happy day for them. So what makes a snappy new day for you?
Gosh, waking up in the morning, knowing I'm surrounded by a wonderful family, the blessings that I receive, and I really try and pay that forward. Colton, I'm wondering, what makes a snappy new day for you?
I guess what makes a snappy new day for me is just seeing everybody communicating with one another, just being kind to one another and helping out so we can make this world a better place and hopefully and hopefully a place where we can have more Mr. Rogerses in this world.
I couldn't agree more.
Now, Mrs. Sugrue, this is something that Mr. Rogers did one time when he was accepting an award. He asked the audience to close his eyes for 10 seconds and think of somebody that's somebody that has helped them throughout their life. So if you don't mind, I would like you to close your eyes for just 5 seconds and just visualize who was important in your life. I'll watch the time. Okay, could you think of anybody?
I could. I strongly believe my grandparents and my parents gave me such a firm foundation of learning from others, respecting others, loving others, that they gave me such a great, wonderful basis in which I live my life.
I feel the same way about my parents and my grandparents as well. So that is beautiful because I can completely relate to that.
We're both so fortunate, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Well, Mrs. Sugrue, thank you so much for your time here. It was such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure to have you. Now, if you would like to hear more about Mrs. Sugrue's story, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Live Like Fred. I'm Colton Tobias. See you next time.